What's up everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we got another tutorial. This one is going to be a mid drop fade with a hard part and a pompadour pushback. I'm really going to enjoy this one. This one came out super clean, so stay tuned to see the whole process and see the after, right? So first we're going to go ahead and just wet the hair, get the hair in the direction that it needs to be. We're parting it right here because we're going to go ahead and, like I said, put a hard part in there. And we just want to be as clean as possible and have that hair sectioned off perfectly. All right, we don't want anything hanging over where it shouldn't be, so that's what I'm doing right here. All right, after that I'm gonna go ahead and just use my clips and just separate the hair, so it just makes my job a lot easier. Now we're gonna start with our number 2 guard, and we're just gonna clear off bulk because this was post quarantine and it was 2-3 months after last time I ever cut his hair. So we're gonna go ahead and just clear off bulk, coming up and off the head. Try and make a guideline, making it nice and clean, making it as consistent as possible, because we're going to come back over with clipper over comb to blend it into the long hair. Also, as you can tell, I'm using that comb to hold the hair in place so that when I'm coming up, I'm not going any farther than that, or I'm making sure the hair doesn't move, so I get a nice clean guideline. Now I'm going to go ahead and section off the bangs so that I don't cut any of that length, because I want to keep as much length in the front so I have that nice pompadour look. Moving on to clipper over comb. So this comb is pretty much a 2 guard, and as you guys can tell, I'm going in and scooping out and cutting any excess hair. I'm not digging in like that and cutting all that hair off and losing the shape. I'm trying to keep that square shape and keep as much length. So you're going in there, scooping out and just cutting the excess off, and that's going to blend right into the 2 guard. You might have to do a little bit of detailing, but for the most part this is like the rough draft, so it has to be too perfect, because we're going to come back with scissor over comb and do all that to get it nice and flawless. Here we're going in with our gamma trimmers and setting that ball guideline right at the bottom of the C cup, and we're just going to drop it in the back and keep it contouring his head, dropping it right below the occipital bone. Occipital? I'm saying that wrong, but you know what I'm saying. We're dropping right behind that bone, right in the back, and we're keeping it nice and clean and as consistent as possible on both sides. Also use the ear maybe as a reference point, so maybe you're about a finger's width above the ear, so that you could keep that symmetry on Man, I'm making up words now. So you can keep it symmetrical on both sides, all right? So do about a finger width. So as you can tell, if I put a finger right above his ear, that would be the width of where I put that ball guideline in. And then we're gonna match it to the other side. Also doing clipper over comb on this side as well. Now we're going to go ahead with our shaver and go right below where we left off with that gamma trimmer. So we're leaving ourselves about a 1/4 inch room. So I'm coming up and then I scoop out, tap, move around in circles just to blend into that trimmer. So I get a nice even blend, because the same way you blend your trimmer into your clipper, you're doing the same thing with your shaver. You try and blend that shaver, the skin, into that stubble. And you could always go over with your trimmer after, just to have that nice transition. Since we have our trimmers in our hand, just to be a little bit more efficient, I'm going to go ahead and just hit up the C cup area and just get that nice and sharp. Now to begin the fade, we're starting with our first guideline, which is blade completely open, and we're making about a 1/2 inch to 1 inch guideline, and we're going to do that throughout the whole head. Now to remove that bald guideline, we're going to start with the clipper completely closed, and we're going to move up about a 1/4 inch. So since the whole guideline is about 1 inch, we're going to move up a quarter of an inch each time. So the completely closed will be moving up a quarter of an inch. We'll move the lever halfway, as you guys can see. I'm gonna move up another quarter of an inch. So now I'm 50% of that whole guideline. And then after that, I'm gonna move up the lever a little bit more, not completely open, but pretty close to completely open. I'm gonna go up another quarter of an inch. And after that, I'll completely open the blade and set another guideline in, so that I know that the highest I've hit was completely open, the lever completely open. So I hope that makes sense. So just break it all down. You'd have a full inch guideline, and you're gonna open up the notches 4 times. So one being completely closed, one being all the way open, and now you have 2 more notches to open, which is halfway and a little bit less than completely open. Just follow along as I'm showing in the video, and it should make sense. And that's how you're gonna get a nice blend and get that ball line completely out. Because if you don't move up into the fade, you're gonna have a harsh line and it's not gonna have that nice transition. I'm gonna keep this part in normal speed, just so you could really see how I'm blending it out and opening the lever. Next step is going to be taking that 1 guard completely open, and we're going all the way up to where we had that 2 guard. So we left off the 2 guard a little bit below the parietal ridge. So we're going to take that guard and go all the way up there. All right, we're going to blend right into the 2. We don't want to go too short of it, because then it's not going to have an even fade. So you want to go up to where you left off, right below the 1, and flicking out 2. You're not digging in, you're going off of the head and keeping a nice consistent stroke for each time. All right, and after that, we're going to go ahead and close the lever all the way and hit that line again and going right below the 1 open. And all this is doing, this guard is just lining up the line so that you could come back with your 0 guard or your half guard, whatever you want to call it. It's the 15mm guard, to really remove that last line and get that blurry fade. So like I said, this is just lining up. You want to do your best to line up that line as much so that it's easier for you to blend it out. And see how I'm kind of scooping out and going into the head? That's the type of motion you want to do, but obviously the more reps you get in, the easier it comes. You could do it at a faster pace. So now the final step that's going to blend everything out is going to be the 0 guard or the half guard or the 15mm guard. It just depends what system you're using. This is the double magnetic by Andes, so that's why it's called the 0 guard. But we're going to start with the blade completely open and blend it into the fade. Okay, I'm using more corners. Even though I'm using 1 guard, I'm using more of corner of the blade, just so you can really pick out and soften up areas. You don't want to go in there with a full blade, because now you're blending, you're not setting it in guidelines. So just go ahead and work that out. Close the lever slowly as you're getting closer to the bottom, and then it won't blend out perfectly, so you're gonna have to take off the guard and go ahead and do some more detail work with no guard on there, and just follow along with what I'm doing. And just a little tip, always when you're coming to the back, make sure to kind of spread your guidelines, or don't be afraid to push up a little bit more, because the back of the head is a lot more dense and has more hair per square inch, I believe. So you're gonna have to go up a little bit more in order to get that flawless fade as on the side. I don't know if you guys notice, if you guys are barbers and you do cut hair, you notice that the sides blends a lot easier because it's less dense and it's a lot easier to fade. But when you get to the back, you have to move the guidelines a little bit higher in order to get that flawless transition throughout the whole head. As you guys can see, the fade is slowly coming together. Just need some final detail work, which we'll get, and then you got that flawless fade. Super simple. You know, you start with the 2 guard to clear off bulk, clipper over comb to blend it all into the top, and then you put your ball guideline in, blade open, 1 guard, 0 guard, done. Or if you want to do clipper over comb last, you could do that if that works better for you. Cutting hair is all up to what you feel works best for you. There's a bunch of techniques out there, you could try them, but I suggest just picking one, sticking to it in the beginning, really get that down, and after that test around different things and see what works best for you. Some detail work with a blade open, then we're gonna move over to the trimmer, and then clipper over comb, just get everything nice and tight, and go through our steps again to make sure we get that flawless fade. Moving on to the hard part now, I'm going ahead with my Gamma trimmers. These are modified, so it makes it super easy to put in that line, but you know, super simple. Just go in there, tap it in there, don't make it too thick, because you're going to come back with a razor, and that's how you're going to thicken up the line and get it to the desired thickness that you would like. He doesn't have too much hair that hangs over for the hairline, but I'm just kind of cleaning it up, debulking the area just to get a nice sharp line on the corners. I'm not really touching the front hairline, as you guys can tell. Make sure to always scissor over comb after you're done with the fade, with the clipper over comb and all that. It just helps soften up the blend a little bit, and you could get in areas that you really can't with the clipper, and it just helps softening up and getting that nice fluid transition in the fade. So always work on your scissor game. Make sure you can move the scissor with your thumb and not clamping, because you want to only move that moving blade with your thumb. Now we're gonna go ahead and move on to the top of the hair. He wanted a little trim. I believe he wanted to cut off about 1 inch or 1.5 inches. So we're just saturating the hair, and then we're gonna begin the scissor cut. Actually, since I already wet the hair and had everything set in place, I went ahead and just razored in the hard part real quick, since the hair is a little bit, the scalp is a little bit wet, so it'd be easy for me to use the blade without irritating or hurting his skin. Now we're going to take one section about where his eyebrow starts on his right side, and then we're going to take our next section about where the other start of his eyebrow is. So we get about a finger or two width in the middle, and this is going to determine the length that he wants. Make sure everything's nice and wet. As I can tell, the hair wasn't too wet, so I went back in there and got it nice and saturated. So we're going to take our first guy line from the front, bring that all the way up, make sure nice tension, and we're going to cut about 1 inch, maybe 1.25 inches off, and we're going to follow that guideline all the way to the back. And as you can tell, I'm angling it down as we get closer to the back, so it gives it more of a triangular shape, longer in the front and then shorter in the back. I'm just going to follow that all the way through. Okay, now we're gonna push the hair all the way to one side, and we're gonna take horizontal sections now and finding that guideline that we had in the middle. As you can tell, I pull up, you can see the long hair, you can see the short hair. Just snip all that off, keeping everything square, and we're just gonna follow that all the way through to the back. Now take a small section of that section and push it all the way to the left side and repeat the same steps. Right here I'm just cross-checking and making sure everything's nice and even. Put some oil serum in his hair, and what this does is just protects the hair from heat damage from the blow dryer, and it gives a nice polished look at the end once it's all completely blow dried. And just blow dry the hair in the direction that you want to style it, but right now I'm just getting nice and dry and creating volume by pushing it to the opposite direction. After the hair is all dry, I'm just going to go ahead and take away some weight off the hair so he has more flow and his hair won't be too heavy, and it'll be a lot easier for him to style. Now we're just applying some claymation by Hans de Foucault. I'm putting it on the hard part area first, where the hair is going down, just to separate that, and then throw some in the front, and then just pushing everything down, make sure the calyx laying down perfectly, make sure the parts, you know, nice and good, and just gonna run that through his whole hair. Now I'm taking my favorite styling comb, which is the fishtail comb. All the tools I've been using are from Barber Nova, but I'm using the fine tooth side to separate all the hair and get everything evenly distributed. Then I'm gonna use the wide tooth to get that separation in the hair. Now I'm just applying a little bit of hair fibers just to get that line up nice and sharp, just to take the haircut to that next level. He didn't need it, but I'm just adding it in there because I think it looks dope. Now make sure everything's nice and crispy, hit everything back up again with the razor, and that's gonna pretty much do it for us. Stay tuned to see the after. I'll always finish off the climb by applying some talc to your neck duster, and go ahead and do it right all around the bald guideline so you get that nice transition between the fade and the long hair. This is just some texture spray. YouTube, this is how my client came in before, 3 months after quarantine, looking shaggy, hasn't had a cut in a while. This is the after. Look at that, flawless fade, nice scissor cut on top, sharp lines, blurry fade. My dude's ready, looking crispy. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. Hope you guys learned something new from this video. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share this with your friends, and I'm out, YouTube, right? I'll see you guys on the next one. Wait, I'm back. Damn, that's blurry. Bro, look at that. That's, shoo. Hey, just work hard and I trust you, everything will fall into place. All right, I'm out for real this time. Deuces.